So during one of my many attempts to find a hidden gem throughout Steam's recommendation library, I think I've stumbled across a game that not only shows a lot of promise, it's also developed by one person. Now it's not the first game to have a single developer behind it, but honestly when looking at this game, it not only looks but it feels like a AAA title. Now that being said, I can't really review this game as only a chunk of the game is available currently in early access, and it's roughly about 30 minutes long, but instead of being a massive review today, I'd like to give this game some praise for what it is and let you know what's good about it, while also saying what needs to be improved. To give you a bit more context though, if I was to immediately compare this to any other games, I'd consider this a love child between the games like Bulletstorm and Devil May Cry. So basically it's like an FPS hack and slash hybrid. Currently the game has a minimum selection of weapons being an assault rifle, a pistol and a shotgun. And yes, while that's a pretty low choice in variation, you won't be too disappointed as the guns in this game actually feel really good. Compared to sitting down in corners and attempting to hide while your health regenerates, you'll end up running about and jumping all over the place while pelting bullets into whatever you can see. After playing around with these 3 weapons in the game currently, I think my least favourite has to be the shotgun. The pistol and assault rifle feel like where they should be, but the shotgun feels rather inconsistent, to say the least. It'll sometimes feel really strong shredding through whatever's coming at you, while the other times it just feels like a bit of a pea shooter. Hopefully down the line though they'll actually increase the damage of the shotgun or make it a bit more stable. And while you may think a weak shotgun is pretty underwhelming, there's more to the combat besides that. Throughout the game you'll unlock all different sorts of abilities when fighting, and this will range from stuff like charging a katana, which can be used from an insane range, to throwing people up in the air and even slowing down time. These are all controlled from various keys on your keyboard, but certain skills can use the same key as others, and it gets a little bit confusing at points, especially when you have to click F multiple times for certain abilities, but once you've got the idea though, you'll be throwing enemies around in no time. Now all these skills won't be available from the start however, as they'll need to be unlocked by upgrading your character in the menus. Now currently there's only a basic amount to choose from, and I imagine there's going to be more added later on down the line, alongside various other traits to boost your character. To unlock these skills though, you'll obviously need to rack up some XP from killing whatever comes at you, but from what I can see currently, the XP is only really gained from destroying monsters, instead of stuff like humans and bosses, which is fine at first, but something I didn't originally notice is that when you're gaining XP, that's also how you get ammo as well, so you can't actually get ammo from human AI. So keep that in mind when fighting the humans, as while they use your weapons as well, you can't pick up the ammo from them, which is kinda weird. But hopefully this is something they'll change over time. I'm not really too fussed about the XP mechanic as unlocking everything in the game is quite easy, but I did almost run out of ammo a couple of times throughout the playthrough, so perhaps all enemies should drop ammo, especially if they're using your guns. With the guns out of the way though, there's only one thing left to really talk about, and that's the current level design. The plot really doesn't hold much besides explaining how you've gone from a sci-fi game to a fantasy-like realm, and that's from being teleported from some sort of machine, so I'm not really going to go any further than that. From the world you can play around in though, it looks like some sort of floating island, especially if the star's anything to go by. While progressing through this map though, you'll have a pretty straightforward puzzle, and then you'll also be doing some platforming, which I didn't really like at certain points. There's a segment when you have to use your jump ability to get from one platform to another, but there's no clear way of indicating how to get up there. You kind of just have to stand on some rubble and then use your jump ability. Besides that though, stuff like swinging yourself from one place to another and dragging yourself forward is actually brilliant. From the assumption I got from the start to the end of this game, I don't think it's going to entirely take place in these 2 locations, so we may be playing through various biomes in the full game. One thing I did really like besides the bonfire reference though is the actual bosses themselves. The first boss you fight in this game will teleport you to another area instead of being inside the ruins, and this time round it's a battlefield with a bunch of corpses surrounding this one knight. It's never really explained why you're fighting him, but fuck if I know, it's a really fun boss fight. There's another boss later on at the end of the game which is a lot stronger, but there's no real context to how he gets there, he just kind of falls out of the sky. I think when it comes to the context with this game currently, it's more meant to be this is what we're going to expect in the main game rather than here's the plot so early on. And honestly, I'm fine with that. Overall, while the snippet of the game was short, it's surprisingly solid for what it is. The animations seem a little bit off in places, but it can be excused as an early access title, and again, one developer did all this. I'm absolutely blown away by that and amazed what someone's passion can bring to the table. I think currently the Bright Memory has a lot of potential to be an outstanding game, but I have a feeling that we might be waiting an awfully long time for this to get a full release, and honestly, I'm okay with this. If this little chapter is anything to go by, then I think we're going to be looking at an overall outstanding game. And if you don't believe me, it's like what, £5 on Steam? And I guarantee you'll enjoy it. I've played through this game roughly 3 times now and I've still had a blast every time. And with that said, that's all we've got time for today. I know it's a short video, but it is a short game. If this gets released in my lifetime, then definitely I'll come back to it and give it a proper review, but I've got some other work to do. So until then, have a good week, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.